When you can make a great war film without any characters or even blood, then you know you have got some major skills. And cojones the size of a bull's. Even with the overwhelmingly positive reception, I was uncertain about how this film would play out for me. Christopher Nolan's films are pretty epic in length and are driven heavily by dialogue, so when I found out that this film's script is a measly 76 pages and the running time less than 2 hours, my skepticism hit a brand new high. And of course, my big mouth was clamped shut as Christopher Nolan has delivered an astoundingly unique experience that demands to be seen in an IMAX theater. As the Nazis advance further into France in May of 1940, 400,000 Allied soldiers find themselves pinned down by the enemy and stranded on the beaches of Dunkirk. With aerial and ground support, the troops are systematically evacuated using every functional vessel possible, including civilian ones that were commandeered by the Royal Navy. This true historical event is told through 3 alternating and intertwining perspectives. The first perspective is 1 week on the ground with a young British soldier named Tommy, played by Fionn Whitehead, as he tries to survive. The second perspective is 1 day at sea with Mr. Dawson, played by Mark Rylance, as he and his son make their contribution to the cause in their small boat. And the third perspective is 1 airborne hour through the eyes of an RAF Spitfire pilot named Farrier, played by Tom Hardy, as he engages in dogfights with the German Luftwaffe. With Dunkirk, I believe Christopher Nolan has undertaken some of the bravest and most audacious decisions in the history of war cinema to some astoundingly remarkable results. Instead of tear-jerking deaths, tales from home, character backstories, camaraderie, motivational speeches, strategizing, and politics, Nolan has opted to approach his historically significant evacuation of Allied troops purely from the standpoint of survival. Now, on a surface level, the idea might sound really shitty in the League of Class cinema, as it would give the film the appearance of a soulless, noisy, continuous, and thinly plotted action sequence with a woeful lack of a human element. However, our directorial maestro, Mr. Nolan, armed with his cameras, divine intellect, cast, and Hans Zimmer's crescendoing score, shatters our expectations with virtuosity of the elite kind. This time around, Nolan allows actions, body language, camera shots, and unbridled tension to do the storytelling and thematic work as opposed to dialogue, thereby demonstrating some impressive versatility as a filmmaker and further cementing his status as one of the best directors in the business. Dunkirk is visually arresting and immaculately shot, but that statement would just be scratching the surface, because what I saw is a celluloid manifestation of poetry. Let's take the shots of Dunkirk's beach and the shots of the English Channel during the dogfights as an example. They're beautiful, am I right? It's almost as if they're too beautiful to be part of a grim war film. But then comes the genius when making the juxtaposition of natural grandeur with the unadulterated ghastliness of man-made war. Sensations of sorrow and fear are experienced by the viewer as they witness nature become a life-threatener as a consequence of humanity's wrongdoings. If you get shot out of the sky, then that beautifully shot English Channel is now a threat to your survival. You can't drink the water, there's nothing to eat, and you'll most likely die of thirst or drowning while waiting for a miracle that may never come. And that pretty long, grand beach of Dunkirk? It's a land of unpredictability, as these soldiers are out there in the wide open with nowhere to hide, and every one of them is now a likely target of the death-spraying Luftwaffe. Christopher Nolan's choice of alternating and intertwining perspectives that each have their own time frame is reminiscent of another mind-boggler of his, Inception. Even with a World War II drama driven by action, Christopher Nolan tests his audience with some unconventional narrative structure. Some audiences might be confused by it, and some might even be put off. But I think the surgical precision of Lee Smith's editing helps maintain a sense of order in such a volatile narrative structure and steadily pieces it all together. Nolan's visual communication is bolstered by Hans Zimmer's electrifying score. This soundtrack, which is complemented by the haunting sound of a ticking stopwatch, sets a relentless pace akin to that of an apprehensive heartbeat, which is magnified by the nail-biting sense of finality. And seeing as how Dunkirk is told from the perspective of the soldiers in the moment, Christopher Nolan chooses not to show the enemy side, which further amplifies the unpredictability and tension factor. I guess my only criticism would be that the film kind of felt downscaled at times. A noticeable facet of Christopher Nolan's filmmaking style is his utilization of practical effects to generate a sense of realism. But in this film, it didn't look like there were any more than a few thousand soldiers on the beach. I think Dunkirk could have benefited from some creative use of CGI to convey the sheer scale of the evacuation. So in the end, I am fully confident in saying that Dunkirk is a truly remarkable film. As a film about survival as opposed to triumph, I think this film did an excellent job in making every last one of these nameless soldiers and their actions matter. And as much as the theme's films of hope, survival, patriotism, and sacrifice surprisingly resonate given the lack of context, backstory, or character arcs, I think it's actually the finer details of this film that will be engraved into your brain. It's watching a shell-shocked soldier swim into to the surf to his death. It's a look in the eyes of frightened young men waiting to live or die. It's the sight of a nurse comforting traumatized soldiers. It's the vibrant red color of jam on a piece of sliced bread in contrast to this film's somber gray, brown, and muted blue color palette of death. I think Dunkirk is a stunning piece of art that managed to capture the horrors and futility of war with none of the preaching, tropes, or even blood. Is this film Saving Private Ryan? Still no, but when a film makes you ruminate on its finer intricacies days after you've seen it, that you know something is done right. Make sure to watch this film on the biggest screen you can find. Well done, Mr. Nolan. Bring on the next one. So I'm gonna give Dunkirk a 9. Just so you know, I'm going to be in Vegas for a couple of days, then I'm going to go back to Arizona for a day or two, then I'm going to be in California for 4 more days. So I'll be writing my review of Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, and hopefully I'll get to see the new film Detroit. Anyway, these are my thoughts on Dunkirk. What did you think of the film? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you like what I do, give me a like, hit that big subscribe button, stay tuned, and I will see you on the next one.